Well, I think first of all, you got to realize we did over 200 vaccine doses in the state of Missouri. So I think sometimes when we talk about 100 left over here on the side or there, I think the reality of it is we're going to stay with the same philosophy we had in October. We have a plan in place. It's going to be by percentage of population, and we're delivering that to every area. You know, the bottom line is you just don't have enough vaccine to go around right now, and it makes it very difficult, whether you're in rural Missouri, whether you're in an urban area. And I think for the urban area, we know because the population is so much larger, it's just going to take longer to do it. But when you see what I got to see today by going to Pfizer, meeting with Pfizer early on, going down to Cambridge down there, working with the Urban League, seeing the vaccination center here, and seeing what they're doing here. There's a lot of vaccine going into a lot of people's arms, and it's simply just a matter of getting more and more vaccine. And I think it's also important to remember when we first started out, we were getting about 50,000 doses for the state of Missouri. Last week we did about 235,000. So if you keep that rate up and those numbers keep going, you know, we could easily be doing 1 million a month in the very near future. So when you look at population, we're going to be quite a ways down the road. We just need more vaccine, and it's coming.
Governor, we acknowledge that you can take all the doses that you get and administer them in Troop C and still take weeks to get everybody. There's just not enough to go around. The question that we're trying to drill down on is, in these rural areas where you might have 500 left over in Benton County, 1,400 left over somewhere else, is it a case of more people in the rural areas are opting not to get the vaccine, so you might need to reevaluate how many you're sending to these rural areas? Because if you've got leftover, hundreds left over, maybe there needs to be a reevaluation about how much is being shipped there.
Yeah, I think, one, we reevaluate the programs every day. And I'll take Putnam County because it's been in the news so much of that side. That side should have never happened the way it did. It's just the bottom line. I own that. So it shouldn't have happened. So we got to do a better job than that. But by far, the vast majority of the mass vaccines we're doing are going just as fine. You know, and we're back in the second stages of it. And the reality of it, the only thing I can do is continue to do the formula we're doing until we get more vaccine. The reason we picked the formula we did for 65 and the most vulnerable is because we use the hospitals as we are today here, because the reality is they have the infrastructure in place, and most of those people in that age brackets are in the systems. So we know that. So as we go to this next phase, we will open that more up to more pharmacies, to FQHCs, to more healthcare centers, to be able to get more doses to that. So again, it's actually every day it changes somewhat, so we have to make adjustments. But the last thing we want to do is we don't want to waste a vaccine. The National Guard don't, the health centers don't. But every day is challenges to do better, and we're going to continue to do that. But the vast majority of people are getting vaccines in their arm, and that's the good news.
Why isn't Missouri getting more Johnson & Johnson vaccine until the end of March?
I didn't hear your question.
Why is Missouri not getting more Johnson & Johnson vaccine until the end of the month?
Well, I think that's the system they give us. We talked to the White House about that. I think the other issue that we got right now that we're working on with some of the federal delegation is we're not getting our fair share for population from the federal government right now. We're several 100,000 doses short in Missouri, and somebody needs to give us an answer to that, why we're not getting as much as we are in neighboring states. And we're working on that right now with the White House and with the administration of that, because we're just behind on doses for population. So when you look at that factor in there too, that makes it a little rough for us here in this state.
On your tour today, have you learned anything that tells you where Missouri will be able to vaccinate all its citizens?
Well, I don't know when that day will come. I think it would be too early, too premature to say when that was. I would say by the end of April, you'll be a lot more equipped to answer that question. I think by the end of April, if the vaccine keeps coming the way it is, I think it'll kind of flip a little bit, and we'll actually be probably recruiting people to take the vaccine. I think that's where we'll be if the vaccine keeps coming like it is. When that will take everybody, our main goal is to make sure everybody that wants a vaccine gets a vaccine. And however long that takes us, that's how long it takes us. So.
We've got time for one more, Governor.
Governor Parson, I know that the vaccine distribution has been based on population proportionately. Given what we've seen in the past few weeks, do you plan on continuing that way of distributing the formula?
Yeah, we're going to stay with the same plan we had. We've had a plan in October. We put it in place. We were very fortunate the way things are going in our state, that we were able to move up that next tier. And I think the same thing could happen again if we keep getting the vaccine in there. I think that what we did by a balanced approach here in this state, we are second in the United States of America right now for the lowest positive rate in the country. Second. So what we're doing is right, because we're keeping people out of the hospitals and we're trying to save lives. And those are the two main priorities. But the way you do that is take care of this population of 65 and the most vulnerable. And that's the one we got to get done, and we want to encourage them to keep doing that. I had a great meeting today with BJC, some of their leadership here. They're well aware of that. They're doing the best they can to get as many people vaccinated as they can, as you see what they're doing today. We just got to continue working hard. It's going to take another 30, 45 days before we turn the corner.
Okay, Governor, thank you.
Thank you, Governor.
Just to kind of follow up too, on the positive, there's 37% population in Region C of Missouri. This week,
And we'll let them
Region
wrap
C
up and
got
then we'll get going.
37% of the allocated state doses.
And I know, I think Rick mentioned this today, at Christian Hospital, we had 700 COVID vaccine appointments made today.
Good for this measure. Okay, Kelly Jones, Governor Parson. What's your name? Okay, good, nice to meet you.
All right, guys. Just to make sure we're on the same page, everyone's gonna kick it off.
I'll ask you a question.
All right, thank you,
Tell
Russell.
me how many people are vaccinated today and how important are vaccine clinics at hospitals like yours?
Yeah, absolutely. We have 700 that will be vaccinated today, and we also plan for an overage of 20%. So yesterday we did 747 vaccines. And I think hospitals are key, right? Hospitals are that community connection, and so I think it's very key that individuals come to the hospital to get vaccinated because we know the community.
Which kind of vaccine are you distributing today?
We have the Pfizer vaccine. That's what we've been doing since day one.
I know that we've heard that, I know that we've heard that the Johnson & Johnson vaccine won't be coming until the end of the month. Does that impact your plans to vaccinate people? What's your take on this high throughput site?
Well, we think it's great that another vaccine is coming into the market to help vaccinate the community. We know that we're going to continue with the Pfizer vaccine, and so if we get the Johnson & Johnson, we'll incorporate that in at that time. But right now, we're continuing with Pfizer vaccinations.
Go ahead.
How do you plan on coordinating, you're still working on the tier 2 population of the older people and people with health problems. When March 15th hits and it'll include essential workers and teachers, logistically, how do you guys plan on handling that?
Well, we have a systematic plan that we're working now, using it by age, but then we're also planning for the teachers as we go forward. And so what we want to do is, if you've had a chance to visit our clinic today, we have a pretty smooth process. We don't have people congregating. And so we want to continue where we don't have people congregating, keep people safe. But we have a systematic process, and we're going to continue to look at that systematic process to implement that tier that's coming in.
Could you speak directly to those who are over 65 who are saying, oh my gosh, as soon as they include these other folks, teachers and all, I'm going to be, instead of 1 in 100,000, I'm going to be 1 in 500,000, and it's going to take longer for me to get the vaccine. What's your message? Speak directly to those people over 65 worried that might happen.
Well, there's many levers in the community. So BJC, SSM, Mercy, we're vaccinating. St. Luke's, we're vaccinating. But then also the St. Louis County. St. Louis City is also vaccinating. And then we're trying to expand that as well. And so we know that we have people out in the community that are registering individuals to come in, so we can make sure that we have everybody coming into the system. So again, we have a system that we're putting in place to make sure that individuals can come in and get vaccinated and not have to worry. So they should feel pretty secure and safe that we're going to get them in should they want to come and vaccinate.
But you're
vaccine with us.
screening to make sure you're getting the people that are currently eligible so they don't get lost in the shuffle when more people are added.
Absolutely. We are screening to make sure that they don't get lost in the shuffle.
President Stevens, I'm going to ask you a similar question that I asked Governor Parson, is that we're seeing somewhat of a discrepancy between, you yourself, I'm sure, have seen so many people scrambling to get the vaccine here and not being able to find one, and then we're seeing these other mass vaccination sites in rural areas with doses left over. What do you think accounts for that discrepancy?
What we're doing here is making sure that we use all the doses that come into us. We have pharmacists that are pulling up the doses for us to make sure that we get every ounce of the vaccine out of the bottle. And so we're making sure that we're not wasting any doses here at our particular site here. And so we keep looking at our systems to make sure we're as efficient as possible as we can.
Is it just sort of the system of mass vaccination? You have a bunch, and hospitals have the luxury of maybe doing a little bit at a time, and they have the storage capabilities. Do you think maybe that's contributing to some doses being left over?
I can't talk about what others are doing. I can talk about what we're doing, and I know that we have, specifically, we're not wasting doses because of the processes that we put in place. and making sure that we want to pull out every ounce. To your question, to make sure to give assurance to the people that are over 65 they can get their dose. That's why we have the efficiencies we have to make sure that we can give the dose, because we're using every ounce, milliliter out of that bottle to make sure that we can give the particular doses.
And we have time for one more question.
How are you going to be able to verify when people say that they're essential workers and teachers? What system are you going to use?
Well, what we've done is, you know, there are people that are registering in with the BJC MyChart, so we verify there. We can look at the age there. And then also, as we work with particular individuals, we know the Hazelwood School District, Hazelwood teachers. So we have a little bit of trust that we have if you're a Hazelwood School District, Hazelwood teacher, and we have a liaison that we work with the different organizations that can help verify these individuals, they work for us.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Rick. All right, any other questions about anything I can answer?
Yes.
You're fine.